What is going on, gunfighters, aspiring gunfighters, men thirsty for knowledge and understanding gained through experience and study? One of the 14 leadership traits, which I think I still remember all verbatim and their definitions. Knowledge, understanding gained through experience and study. Gunfighting, shooting, also has a lot of knowledge baked into it. Today, we're going to talk about my top 5 non-fiction books on battle, fighting, conflict, shooting. Top 5 non-fiction books. Welcome to the podcast where we talk about guns, gunfighting, tactics, ballistics, the right way, with God Almighty at the center, biblical Judeo-Christian values, and real-world first-hand experience. I am blessed to serve you as host, military, law enforcement, private security, contracting, competition shooting, hunter, instructor. Blessed be the Lord my rock, who trains my hands for war and fingers for battle. With that, I bet you can guess what my number 1 book is going to be. The Bible. The Bible is your instruction manual for life. In purely spiritual matters and very practical matters. Before you learn how to fight, you need to learn when to fight. When it is ethical, when is just warfare, what is just war, what is the proper time for, let's say, interpersonal conflict. When is it the proper time to turn the other cheek, and when is it the proper time to cut somebody's head off? Because both of those are appropriate and righteous in the Bible at different times. When is that? When is the right time to use force? When is that the most loving thing that you can do? Is to stop somebody doing an evil act. There's a lot about battle and fighting and warfare in the Bible and conflict and use of force. And if you read the Bible, you'll know that. So read the Bible. It will not just help you in this aspect in knowing when to morally use force, but in so much more. Again, it's the instruction manual for life. It is the most important book you can own, the most important book you can read to understand God, to understand His creation, which includes everything. Everything is under the umbrella of God's creation, right? To better understand God is to better understand His creation, which is to better understand His life and yourself. I cannot overstate the importance of the Bible. My go-to favorite version is the New King James, but there are a lot of good translations, and there are very few bad translations. Just get one and start reading it. Okay, the next one I'm going to talk about, they all pale in comparison to the Bible, but the next one I'm going to talk about is by somebody, even if you're new to this arena, even if you've never heard of them personally, you've probably been affected by the things that they developed, like the firearm safety rules, like the color codes of awareness. Jeff Cooper wrote many books. My favorite of his is To Ride, Shoot Straight, and Speak the Truth. He goes over different things in there. He goes over rifle, pistol, shotgun, sections on hunting. It's a good book. It's a good book. A lot of really good takeaways, a lot of really good quotes from that book. To Ride, Shoot Straight, and Speak the Truth. Some of the things I agree with, some of the things I absolutely do not agree with. Then I often remember that he was in a far different time with different technology, and some might accuse me of being a Luddite, and some might accuse me of, caring about the latest and greatest, but we're all a product of our time. And I think he was very right on some things, and I disagree with him on some other things. That said, he was like one of the pioneers of modern shooting techniques, modern gunfighting, modern shooting instruction. We owe a lot to Jeff Cooper. This book is not his only book again, but if I was picking one, I would pick To Ride, Shoot Straight, and Speak the Truth. One of the things I do like is he talks about actual practical shooting in that book. Things that are important and things that aren't so important. So that is going to be the second one that I'm going to list. The next one is probably the first book other than the Bible that I read on topics of shooting and gunfighting that really made an impression on me, that really stuck with me. I've had it a long time. And that is Brian Enos, Beyond the Fundamentals. Beyond the Fundamentals is like the quintessential handgun shooting manual. It really is fantastic, especially the chapters that talk about mindset. You might think that those are like the least important ones. Those are the most important ones, the ones on mindset. Grip techniques may differ depending on you. Body stance may differ. Even trigger control, can be a preference between some people and others. But the mindset is kind of a universal. The mindset on that, if you just read that chapter and that chapter alone, that will pay for that book 100 times over, if you actually take it to heart. Beyond the Fundamentals by Brian Enos. If you have never read that book, you owe it to yourself to get it and read it, especially the talk about mindset. That is a fantastic read, worth its weight in gold when it comes to that. And I've never seen another book that talked about it quite so well and quite so coherently about the mental aspect of shooting, especially shooting a handgun. Great book. And since I talked about, and since that's my main kind of go-to manual for handguns, the one I'm going to choose for rifle is, specifically rifle, is going to be John Mosby, Guerrilla Gunfighter 2. I think there's a subtitle in there. I'll have to pull it up. I've got a picture of it here. And that's going to be Guerrilla Gunfighter 2, Preparedness Rifle and Carbine. It's a very good book. I don't know John Mosby. I don't know much about him. But just by reading his work, I can tell that he knows what he is doing. He goes through a lot of stuff in there. Some of the gear-specific stuff may be a little dated as far as like accessories and stuff go. But the overarching principles in that book are great. A caution, this is not a kid-friendly book. It's rather crude. So if you're getting it for like a young child or you're sensitive to foul language, this is not the book for you. I mean, I've done a lot of things in life, military service, and crass language is kind of part of that. But if that bothers you, this is not the book for you. It's not super eloquent in speech. It's not got a lot of deep thoughts in it, but it's got a lot of down and dirty practical advice for rifle and carbine shooting, especially practical rifle and carbine shooting, right? This is not a bench rest book. This talks about like what matters, getting your rifle set up and getting hits on target quickly, and practical accuracy. John Mosby's Guerrilla Gunfighter 2. It's a fantastic book. The next one I'm going to talk about, let's talk about hunting. This one is an easy one to recommend. I had it in childhood. I lost it or got rid of it or something and got one again as an adult. But it's simply The Hunter's Guide from the N.R.A. 1980s version, before all the woke political correctness. I like the 1980 version. It's got a lot of good practical advice. Again, some of the gear stuff is going to be a bit dated, but it goes over things like a basic survival kit, things on dressing game, and the way we used to hunt when we knew how to hunt, instead of like sitting on our butts with a bunch of fancy gear and lobbing rounds at animals, like actually field craft. It goes into that, like when hunters were hunting. It's a great book, and it's simply The Hunter's Guide, 1980 version. It's got a lot of good stuff in there. A lot of stuff that I don't think a lot of hunters pay attention to today, like survival. One cool thing about that book, if you get it, it shows a bunch of the different major game species in the U.S. and their range. And what's cool to see is the drastic recovery of the abundance of species of wildlife since 1980 till today. You know, I'm saying 1980, it might actually be 1990, written in the 80s but published in the 90s, 1990. 1990. But even from the 90s to today, it's kind of wonderful to see the recovery of some of the species of animals. You know, we were still recovering when I was a kid. Like, deer were not abundant like they are today. A lot of other species that have done so well since then, turkey. It's really cool to see how well that habitat has grown. Elk. There's even elk on the East Coast now. It's a really cool thing to see. That's just a side note, not super practical, but just a cool thing to look at. But that N.R.A. Hunter's Guide, you'll see a picture of the cover. I'll try and put it on the thumbnail. Unless you're on Apple, most other platforms, you can see the thumbnail. But it's a really, really good thing to have, a really good resource. If you've been hunting for 20 years or 50 years, or you're getting into hunting this year, it's a fantastic resource and a good thing to have. I'm not going to make this a long episode. I could have thrown a bunch of books in here, but those are really good resources. Again, the Bible, obviously your instruction manual for life, all-encompassing. Brian Eno's Beyond the Fundamentals, if you are looking for a good handgun resource. Guerrilla Gunfighter 2, if you're looking for a good rifle and carbine resource. To Ride, Shoot Straight, and Speak the Truth by Jeff Cooper, if you're looking for a good all-around rifle, pistol, shotgun with some war stories and hunting stuff thrown in there. In the N.R.A. Hunting Manual, I think I said 1980 in the beginning. I think it's the 1990, probably written in the 80s, published in 1990. It's a fantastic resource for hunting. So that's going to round it out, guys. Something a little bit different, yes, you know, grunts, infantrymen, soldiers, we can read. Again, this is book knowledge. It needs to be put into practical application, just like the Bible. You know, faith without works is dead. You don't just read the Bible, you read the Bible and do what it says. Same with this. You read what it says, then you go dry fire, then you go live fire, then you go training, then you go out in the bush and live there. Spend time there, right? So this knowledge is understanding gained through experience and study. This is the study part. Go experience it. Go live it out. Go practice it. With that, guys, thanks for listening. Tactical verse of the day. Since I mentioned one in the beginning, one of my other favorite, like, warrior verses. He makes my feet like the feet of a deer. He sets me on high places. He teaches my hands to make war so that my arms can bend a bow of bronze. God has been very good to me and blessed me with a lot of experience that hopefully I can pass down to you guys. God has been very good to me. I'm not here talking to you because I'm any better than any of the men that aren't or didn't make it, but because God chose to have mercy on me and has a purpose for me. And I hope to walk that out. I hope that you are also blessed. Have a blessed day.